this is Megan from Bath Garden Center. Today's video we're going to be talking about container gardening. This is going to be great for people who don't have a big backyard or a backyard at all, but they want to grow vegetables or fruit. So you can do that in containers, and so that's what we're going to talk about. So when picking out seeds for a container, there are pretty easy ways to figure that out. A lot of them will say container tomato or bush tomato or something like that, which is implying that it's going to grow smaller and reach a certain size and not keep going bigger. So those are going to be your smaller ones that you can put in a smaller container. There are, however, ways that you can grow a big tomato in a container. You just need to be willing to be putting it in a bigger container and have that space for it to grow, just because they get so tall and they really hold like very heavy fruit. So you want to give them that space to grow. So some examples of seeds that you'll find at Bath Garden Center that are for containers, you'll start seeing things that don't necessarily say the word container. It can say bush on it. So what you're looking for is just in the title if it says bush or container. So that's an example of a bush. We've also got ones that will say container on it, like literally say container on it. So really easy to identify which seeds can go into a container, which can't do that necessarily. Another way, if you don't see the word bush or container on it, you can always look at the back of it and see what height it grows to and just kind of adapt to the plant and what it needs and the size for that. So there are tons of options for different kind of vegetables that you can grow if you don't have a garden space. We've got some examples over here that you can purchase at our store. We've got beans, beets, chard, chili peppers, kale, lettuce, onions, peas, spinach, zucchini. Those are just some of the examples of seeds that you can grow, but as I was saying, there's a bunch that you can grow in different size pots, so you can keep going bigger than a container labeled seed. So those are some of the options. So for container vegetables, you're going to want to pick something that is right for the size that it's going to grow. So containers and bush vegetables, you want to go for more of an 18 to 20 inch container size pot. So we've got some good examples. This is kind of something good to start with. It keeps your plants still pretty small, but it's got a lot of room. So you want to make sure that you're picking something that's not going to get too big for something like this. Here's a bigger size as well. This is going to be something good for like more peas, and you can also grow a tomato in here. So these are good options. You're looking for depth as well as the diameter. The depth's really important for the root system to grow, so you really want to find something that has a good depth. Some tomatoes are going to want to go into something much bigger. Here is a 21-inch pot. This is going to be a good size to start with, to just keep on your patio and grow a big size tomato. It doesn't have to necessarily be a container tomato at this point of this size of pot. We also have other options of pots that you can do. This is just an example. It's called a smart pot. It's made out of fabric, and they're great for vegetable container gardenings. They're super light. They hold a little bit more moisture with the fabric. They saturate and drain really well, and they're super easy to just keep using year after year. So this is a good option for your vegetables as well. So if you pick a container that's too small for a vegetable, it really needs a lot of space in the depth to grow its root system, because a lot of these vegetables are going to grow much faster. So you want to find something with depth. If it doesn't have the right enough size, it's just not going to grow as big, it's not going to thrive as well. So you really want to give it something bigger. It's very different than like potting your house plants and sizing up that way. A tomato that's going to be like that big, like a 3.5 inch size pot, is going to want to go into something much bigger and just establish its roots better that way. So those are going to be some differences that you want to keep in mind. There are options for planting vegetables in a smaller pot. Lettuces and spinach, those kinds of things are really easy to grow in containers as well. They're going to not need as much space as your vegetables are going to need. Like lettuce will have very shallow roots, so it doesn't really need as deep as a pot as what we've got for like tomatoes and things like that. So a shallow pot, you see a lot of herbs in window boxes that kind of just sit on your windowsill. Still need a lot of light, but not necessarily the depth or the giant sized pot. So those are great options for kind of confined little container gardens as well. So this is going to be kind of a general rule for most vegetables, that they're going to want at least 6 hours of direct sunlight. And all the veggies are going to kind of need the same water requirements. You're not wanting them to dry up. On sunnier days, you're going to want to water more. Tomatoes are going to need to stay moist, and they'll dry up quicker in the sun. So you want to water them 1, if not 2 times a day, and check with your finger to make sure that the moisture level is right and it's not dried up or not too soggy. So make sure you're fertilizing throughout the spring and the summertime. There's a lot of different types of fertilizers. Just make sure you're finding something that's specific to vegetables, fruiting. Tomatoes are going to want something with more calcium. They're susceptible to blossom end rot. So keep in mind, keep fertilizing, pay attention. A lot of times it's going to be 2 weeks to every 3 weeks that you want to fertilize in the summertime, but just pay attention to that. So a lot of vegetables that bear really heavy fruit are going to need some kind of support. When finding a pot, you also want to keep in mind that you want to try to fit a tomato cage or some kind of support system to hold that fruit up so it doesn't break off and ruin your plant. So keep in mind that you can fit something in that pot to kind of hold it up and support that plant. Follow the directions on the back of your seed packets and make sure that you're giving them the required amount of sunlight. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to call Bath Garden Center. We're more than happy to help.